welcome to LT Outdoors. I know it's been a while since I've done anything, and I apologize for that, but still going through the problems. The swelling's gone down in the arm, which is actually causing more pain because now I can feel, pretty much everything that's in there. And my fingers, as you can see, these ones I can bend fairly well. That's as far as I can bend them. The trigger finger, that's as far as I can bend it. You can see it twitching. That's because it hurts. Now the thumb also scares me because I can't. That's as much movement as I get out of that thumb, and there's no blood circulation. My doctor did the test where, there's some, or else I'd lose the thumb, but he did that test where he hold the fingernail and there's no change in color or nothing. So I might have to go in for another surgery soon. Fingers crossed everything goes well, because I'm hoping to hit the ice. This is, I'm missing out already. I know it, because this ice, see, I'm usually one of the first ones out. I'm one of the crazies that go out on the thin ice, but I know what's safe for me. I make sure I check the ice. I'll teach everybody about ice safety and everything when the time comes. But for now, it's preparing for ice fishing. The season's coming fast up here in northern Michigan, and I'm sure it is too in Minnesota. I know up in Canada they're already getting out on the ice. So I wanted to show you a few things here. I brought in my fishing bucket. I wanted to show you all what I keep in my fishing bucket. The rods aren't quite set up the way that I would normally have them, because I can't rig them right now, obviously, with my broken arm. But I keep, 2 jigging rods. Usually I keep 1 jig rod, and I'll have one of these rigged up with a slip bobber setup, which I'll show you guys later on, that I'll use for either perch or walleye. But I've got my 2 jig rods in here. As you can see, I've fixed this one. I seem to break every rod I own. I've never owned a real fancy rod or nothing. These are cheapies that I've, either had given to me or I've bought cheap. But that one's got a broken tip, which is a shame. That was one of my favorite rods. It was a nice ultralight, which are a blast. Now I'd say it's more of a medium light because it's missing the tip. But got my 2 rods in the bucket there. And then the important thing right here, this is my main tackle box. I keep a few different little boxes in my bucket. This one here is my main box though, and I will show you what I keep in there. In my one side of the box here, I keep my bobbers, which you might say, oh, that's an awfully big bobber. I use this for pike fishing. There's a couple lakes up here that I'll ice fish with my rods, and I use a nice slip float. But in this one, I keep all my bobbers. I keep my bobber stops, which are for slip floats. I'll teach you guys that later on. I can't really teach that right now with the broken arm. Spring bobbers, which are great. They pop on right onto the tip of your ice rod, and I'll tell you, these things are the ticket for crappie fishing. And I'll be hopefully showing you that this year, how amazing these things can improve. I believe these ones here are made by HT, I think these were made by, maybe by Stopper, I can't remember, but either way, this is a amazing invention right there. I know it's caught me a lot more fish. But that's about it. I keep my bobber stuff here in my big side because it's got more space over here. And I've also got a brand new lure I bought recently on here. This is the Northland Forage minnow jig, which I really want to do a shout out to these guys, because I'll tell you what, I got into these jigs. It's been about 3, maybe 4 years ago now, and I'll tell you, they are incredible. And this is kind of where I got the idea about the bottle cap jigs that I'm starting to make, because I think they're going to work just like these. But the Forage minnow jigs, I've got a whole section in here just for the Forage minnows. They come in all different colors. I'll show you guys some more of these closer. I've tried pretty much every color of the Forage minnow jig, but I'll tell you, this hot orange is so far, that one right there is my all-time favorite of the Forage minnow jigs. I mean, orange is always one of my favorite colors anyways for ice fishing, but yeah, that's just a killer color. And then the perchy green, that's always a good color right there. I do well on that. And then I tried out these super glow ones last year. Yeah, I've got to tangled mess in here. Normally I can untangle them quick with my 2 hands, but yeah, I tried. These ones here glow a little more, which I'm kind of bummed because I still don't think that the glow lasts long enough. They need to come out with a way to really supercharge these things, because I hate that, I'll charge them up, drop them down the hole, and minutes later they're already out of glow. It drives me nuts, but it does work. The first time I glowed one of these puppies up, it was incredible. I was walleye fishing. I slowly dropped that thing down the hole, and I had my camera down, and it was so cool because that lure got right in front of the camera, and it's pitch black underwater, so I can't see nothing on camera except my glowing jig going down the hole. And as it got in front of the camera, I watched that thing just get nailed, and it disappeared, and I set the hook, and walleye. I mean, he just nailed it. It was very exciting. But yeah, Forage minnow jigs by Northland Tackle Company, top notch. They are great for literally every fish. I caught 3 Master Angler Award fish last winter, all on the Forage minnow jig. That is my go-to bait. I use them for everything. Looking at them, you might think some of these bigger ones here, you might say to yourself, oh, that's awfully big for a bluegill. No. Nope, the bluegills just inhale these things. I mean, it's amazing. I've caught literally everything. And you might say, oh, they're too small for pike, they're too small for walleye. No, they work on all of them. I've caught steelhead, walleye, whitefish. I've caught literally every species on those Forage minnow jigs. They are incredible. My second favorite jig that I used for most of my life before the Forage minnow, it's kind of hard to show here with one hand, but this is called the Fairy jig. I used to call them Arnold's, but I was wrong. It's actually by the Arnold Company. K&L, I think it is too. But yeah, these are Fairy jigs. They're just a nice, little teardrop. They've been around a long time. They've got the 2 little blades on them. And I'll tell you, the bluegills for panfish, they just love these. They slurp them right up. They just got that single hook. You just tip that puppy with a waxworm or a mousey, or even a wiggler. I prefer waxworms. That's pretty much all I use in the winter for everything. But yeah, you tip that hook with one of them, and it's great. That chartreuse is one of my favorite colors, and of course I told you in the last Forage minnows that orange is always good too. So I have pretty much all the colors in here, but chartreuse and orange are my go-to colors for everything through the ice. Let's see, next up here, I've got my bottle cap lures that I am going to be testing this year. I've got the flat caps that I'm going to try. I'm not sure how these are going to, these just might tangle up going down the hole because, they're going to wobble down. We'll see what happens. I'll be sure to show on those. I've also got the rattle caps that I made. I've got Pepsi, and then I've got all different kinds of beer ones. But I'll tell you, I really think that these are going to be just as good as the Forage minnow jigs. They're a little bigger, so, maybe they won't. These might actually be a little too big for bluegill, but we're going to see. But for pike and walleye in that, and lake trout, I think these are going to be awesome. One thing I didn't say on the Forage minnow, because they got the treble hook, I use one waxworm, and I thread it on one hook. I either thread it, or you can just put the head of the waxworm on there and let it hang. If you do that, it's not going to last as long. It'll rip off. But I notice if you try to thread the waxworm all around the hooks, it'll still work, but you don't get that action that you need in the water. When you've got that thing wrapped all around that hook and you jig it, it's just gonna, I don't know, it just doesn't have the action. If you just put the waxworm on one, you're able to get all the wiggle action. The waxworm will cause the hook to swing a little bit. It's an all-around great lure. Hats off to them for that. The tab lures that I'm making, I think these are going to be deadly this winter too. I'm going to plan on putting, perch minnow on that. I'll try, I think perch minnows are going to be deadly on these, but I'll also try the waxworms. And I've got a nice little true turn hook on there. Yeah, I think that's going to be a deadly combination right there. One of my other favorite jigs, I haven't used them in a long time because I pretty much swapped from these to the Fairy jigs to the Forage minnow. but it never hurts to keep these things in your arsenal. If you know they work, keep them with you at all times. But the Glow Demon, that's what these are called, the Glow Demon jigs. And I think I wrote down, oh, I think they're just made, I think the company's Glow Demon actually too. But yeah, these Glow Demons, these things glow pretty well. And they work great for perch. For the longest time, my father and I, that's all we used. And again, that green, lime green or chartreuse, and then there's an orange one that I use a lot. Those are all my go-to favorite lures that I keep in my box. Everybody's got their own, whatever works for you. I also keep these in here. I cannot remember the name of the company that made these. I probably should have wrote that down. But these are lights that actually, they work incredible. They clip right on the, I clip them right on the flag of my tip up. And they're bright, beautiful lights. And when it's tipped sideways, the light is off. But once it tips up, the light comes on. And I'll tell you, these things are great. I bought them at my local bait and tackle shop, Wellman's Party and Bait. And I'll tell you, that's for any of you locals here in the area, Iosco, Alpena, Alcona County. If you're looking for any of these lures that I've shown here today, the Forage minnow, the fairy jigs, Glow Demons, any of this stuff, they carry it at Wellman's. So, yep, they carry pretty much everything, and that's where I bought these nice little lights last year, or 2 years ago. Also, I've got these lights in here. I'm starting to get into night fishing. I really enjoy it, especially crappies and walleye. But yeah, these little lights right here are cool. And these I actually found. I don't think I can do it one-handed, but I clipped them. I clipped them onto the ends of my slip bobbers. I know this isn't a slip bobber, but it's the first one I grabbed. Oops. See, I pushed it in the wrong end here. It's so hard to do things one-handed. Hats off to all you guys that have struggled with either broken hands or, you know, other health issues with hands or arms, because it's definitely more of a struggle than I had ever imagined. I'm definitely fighting to try and do everything that I want to do, or that I need to do. There we go, clipped it on right this time. Yeah, clips, it's got two holes, one side for the glow stick itself, the other side to clip on for a bobber. And I'll tell you, this thing is awesome. And you might wonder why I have one of these old-fashioned clip-on bobbers in my bucket. And I will be showing this winter why. It's a very interesting fishing tactic that I do that I've never seen anybody else do, and I'll be sure to show you that. It's kind of fun way to fish big fish on light rods. All right, now running late on the video. I don't want to bore you guys, so I'll try and hurry. This is another thing I carry. I love this thing, the HT Bait Safe. This is the bait holder cup, and it is the easiest cup to open, close. It never comes open in your pocket like a lot of those plastic cups do. This thing is amazing for you know, I carry my waxworms in this, and they stay alive for a long time in these cups. It blows my mind, because all there is that one little breather hole, but I'll tell you, that's all that's needed, I guess, because I've had waxworms in there for over a week, you know, 2 weeks, and they're fine. So keeps them warm in your pocket so they don't freeze. It's just, yeah, this is another good invention. HT really knows what they're doing. They've got some great tackle and gear. Keep another box in my bucket here. This one here is you know, pretty much self-explanatory. It's hooks, sinkers, swivels, treble hooks, stuff like that. Steel leaders if I decide to use them, which I haven't used in years, but you never know. I try to have a little bit of everything for every situation, because you really never know what you're walking into on the ice. You might go out for perch and find out, hey, there's schools of walleye coming through, so you got to have your walleye tackle, pike. You know, you just never know what's hitting and what's out there. So I like to be ready for anything, because when I go out ice fishing, I don't go out to just sit. I go out to catch fish, and I make sure I get it done. I don't go out to screw around. So I go out and I make sure I get fish. I don't go out for nothing. This box here kind of my bigger fish box. I keep pretty much like my lake trout, walleye tackle, pike tackle. I've got like, this is a large buckshot jig, also made by Northland Tackle Company, I believe. Yeah, because it's just like the Forage minnow. But these are pretty much Forage minnows, except they're heavier. They got a rattle inside of them. I keep some of these little mini, I'm going to say rattle traps, what I call them. I don't know what company make these, though. I think this was an off-brand I got at Walmart. But, yep, got good rattles in it. I keep this in here in case I want to do some crazy jigging through the ice for walleye or crappie. For the life of me, I got a bunch of these jigs. Can't remember the name of them. But these are also a good jigging spoon right here. They give a lot of flash off in the water. They're good for walleye, change up lure. I haven't used them in, it's been a few years. They're great for pike too. But like I said, the Forage minnow jigs I've been kind of stuck on for a while because, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I don't have a problem catching fish on those all winter. Tripod. It's my underwater camera tripod. I'll be showing you more about electronics before long. Bells. Sometimes I like to put bells on a calm night or something on my tip-ups. Another bag here. This has glow sticks that I keep in here for my tip-ups. And you might wonder what all these little baggies are for that I've got inside this bag. Well, these are all actually crawler harnesses that I tie up. And they're actually minnow harnesses for the winter. I tie these up with either, some of these have single hooks, some of these have treble hooks, some of them have, you know, some of these, that's a big treble hook there. Some of these are small hooks. I actually do harnesses for perch, walleye, pike, trout. I tie up my own harnesses for about everything because I have found that, you know, when I'm fishing around a group of people who have tip-ups out for pike, and I'm sitting, you know, they've got just their plain hooks down, and I've got my spinners, 9 times out of 10 I outfish them. The spinner gives you that extra flash, especially with a minnow down there flailing the spinner around, and it usually draws more aggression out of the predator fish. Rod holders. I keep these on in case I want to just set the bucket up in the, you know, off the side somewhere while I'm jigging. I can have a minnow rod down one hole. I keep them in there. These are 2 tools that I feel every ice fisherman should have. A pair of hemostats right there. These you use to pull the hooks out of a fish's throat, and a lot of times this can save the fish's life. If the fish starts bleeding pretty much, you know, out of its throat, it's probably not going to live. Most species can't live when they start bleeding, even though people seem to think they do. But yeah, hemostats help you get the hooks out of, you know, when it's down deep. These right here, spreaders, mouth spreaders. I need a new pair of these, kind of rusty, but these I use for pike. That way I don't have to reach my hand down in those toothy mouths. But yep, mouth spreaders are good in case you get those deep hooks. Thin ice, you got to be prepared. If you are crazy enough to go out on it, ice picks. It never hurts to have these. Even on good ice, you never know where there's a thin spot. So you're going to want something like that. Gulp. Okay, I've never been a fanatic of the Berkley Gulp, and I probably never will, but I keep a little, I've had these in here for God knows how long, but these are the Gulp maggots, and these are kind of my backup. If I run out of bait, I don't want to have to quit fishing, so I've got these to try, which I have caught fish on them. They do work, just not as good. You know, they say it works as good as real bait, but it don't. You run out of wax worms, these ain't going to save the day. They will help you continue to catch some fish, though. And other than that, I just keep a knife in there. Never know when you need it. As far as fish line goes, sometimes you got to cut it, especially, you know, tip-ups and that. But that's pretty much it. That's all I keep in my bucket. You know, it seems like a lot of stuff, but like I said, you got to be prepared for anything when you're out fishing. Me personally, I don't want to go out fishing and have to quit just because I don't have a certain piece of equipment. I want to keep on fishing. I don't like to plan a trip and then end it for no good reason. So, yeah, there you have it. I hope I was able to teach you some things about the tackle that I take out ice fishing. I hope I'm able to help you. Make sure you check out some of those lures, especially the Northland Forage minnow. jig, and it's called the Northland Forage Minnow Jigging Spoon. The jig itself is just a single hook jig, which they work, but I prefer the treble hook. It helps swing the bait more, whereas, you know, when you've got just the jig itself and a wax worm, you're not getting movement out of that. I've gotten far more strikes out of the jigging spoon than I have the jig. But yeah, check out Northland Tackle Company Forage Minnow Jigging Spoon, and also check out the Arnold Company Fairy Jig, because that is great for paying fish through the ice. And actually, I've caught walleye and everything on them, but it can be a pain because they got little hooks, and I've lost a lot of big fish on those, but they sure do love them. There's something about those little wings that flutter down that just drives them nuts. But yeah, hope I'm able to help you guys catch more fish, and I hope this gets healed so that I'm able to get out there on the ice and show you guys really how I'm getting things done. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, and continue to support my channel. I appreciate all of you guys, and you're the reason I keep going. So keep those lines tight, guys, and be careful if you get out there on the ice. For those of you in the Alpena, Alcona, Iosco area, if you haven't already, be sure to stop in and check out Wellman's Party and Bait. They are just south of town in Oscoda there, just before the bridge if you're going south, and they carry all of your bait and tackle needs. It's, you know, minnows, that's where I go. It's my go-to place for minnows and tackle all winter long. They carry it all, good prices, good people. They even have a selection of pretty much everything that you would need on the ice, food, drinks, the whole works. And like I said, they're great people. I've been going there since I was a little kid, and I just love them all. They also carry some whitefish sausage sometimes. I'm not sure if they always have it anymore, but be sure you ask about that, and they'll be sure to fill you in on where you can get some. So, yep, thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned. I'll show pictures of the tackle after this, and hope I was able to teach you guys something.
But it ain't easy to leave the only town you've known. Take old Route 23 downstate to the city or the factory, or head out on the boats like your father did. Everybody I know either left or did the same. Detroit looks like hell and smells like smoke and gasoline. I don't plan to be anywhere near when she goes.